Hey, what's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Televised podcast. My name is Anna, and today we're going to be talking about kind of where just kind of like end of the season Batwoman and Supergirl stuff, where I think I would like the next seasons to go. Just some kind of like theories that I've been thinking about, and also I did some digging into the comics, especially for Batwoman, because some of the storylines, I think, it's pretty close to the show. Like it's pretty close. Like they're not, obviously following the comics entirely, like frame by frame, but it's definitely, there's so many similarities, and I think it's pretty cool to see the comics be referenced like that, and to kind of find the similarities to the show and things like that. So we're definitely going to be talking about all of that, and into Supergirl. Some drama happened on Twitter, and so we'll be talking about that a little bit. And yeah, not a whole lot, but I still think it's kind of like interesting to, kind of think ahead, and especially now during these times, everything is so uncertain, but it is nice to just kind of, sit and think ahead to where the shows could potentially go. So, without further ado, on Batwoman, obviously, the first thing to talk about is this Ruby Rose departure. It was released that it was a mutual decision between Warner Brothers / CW, and Ruby Rose for her to leave, because apparently she was just so unhappy on the show that she was unbearable to work with. So it was kind of like a toxic, kind of environment for her, a toxic situation, and it just wasn't fun for the crew or the cast to work with her, because she was just so unhappy. She apparently just like couldn't handle the amount of work that it takes to be the lead of a television show, which I mean is totally understandable, especially as someone who came from, she did movies, and doing a movie is so much different than every single day working 14 hours a day for 9 months of your life every single year. It's so different, and the pressure, I'm sure, obviously is immense, and she wasn't treated well from the get-go, which sucked so bad. Like, that was literally terrible. But I do, obviously wish the best for Ruby, and she hasn't put out her own, like, personal statement or anything. She hasn't posted anything about it on Instagram. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Cameron Johnson did tweet that he's like, I'm really excited to come back and, represent the LGBT community, as well as represent all the kinds of people of color that we have on the show and tell their stories. So I'm glad that the cast, because I had said, when I first heard the news, I was like, oh God, hopefully this wasn't a shock to them. Hopefully, like, they didn't have to find out that the star of their show was leaving, via Variety or, Twitter or whatever. So I'm glad that it just, obviously with everything coming out, it very much seemed like everyone knew what was going on, and everyone was kind of privy to the information that Ruby was extremely unhappy and a separation was probably imminent. But it's still just, it's still really shocking and really upsetting. So it's definitely a lot, but let's talk about who should fill her shoes. There's some very big shoes to fill, but I think getting somebody who does TV should be able to handle it fine. I mean, people lead shows all the time. People are the stars of shows all the time. Melissa Benoist, Stephen Amell, Grant Gustin, they all deal with exactly this, situation. So it's not impossible. It's not like it's an impossible thing to do. It's just something that Ruby wasn't comfortable doing. So I think it's just key to find someone who is comfortable doing it, and hopefully someone who has, who has some experience in television and knows exactly what is going to be happening, because I don't think they want to risk this again. Like, oh my God. So I have some essential categories for the next actress. And I think for me, one of the most important ones, which I'll explain, but it's that the actress is butch presenting. Like, short hair, basically just short hair. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think to take Kate from the, Ruby had that short, it's like the short hair, like the leather jackets, all that, that kind of more, obviously more masculine presenting look. I think it would be irresponsible to go from her look to a femme presenting person. You know what I mean? Because, think about it. Think about all of the characters on the CW that are LGBT. Like, think about them. Picture them in your mind. Like, you think about Cheryl Blossom. She is fully lipstick lesbian, like, high femme. Same thing with Tony. She's very femme presenting, high femme. Just thinking about all of the LGBT characters on the CW, most of them are extremely femme and all have long hair, the whole 9 yards. And it's just one thing that I think is kind of a consequence of people fighting for better LGBT representation, because, obviously in the beginning of LGBT representation, like we had Ellen on her show, and she was, more masculine presenting, and she came out as gay on her show, the puppy episode. It's extremely, it's infamous. You can find it, I think, on Hulu. I don't know. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, though. It's great. Nearly killed Ellen's career, nearly killed Laura Dern's career, but what I'm trying to say is that, thinking about early representation, all lesbians, well, not necessarily all lesbians, but so many lesbians on TV were masculine presenting because that was the idea. That was like, it's the same thing. Like, that was the stereotype at the time. But the thing is about stereotypes is that we forget that sometimes there are, like, the reason that stereotypes even exist is because there are people like that, and if we try to erase certain, like these masculine presenting women, these masculine presenting lesbians, then that's not good, because now we've drifted off to a different kind of representation that is still not whole. You know what I mean? Obviously there are stereotypes that are very harmful and very bad, and obviously just including a woman with short hair in your show, does not necessarily mean that it's good representation or, whatever. But, you do have to be aware and include all kinds of, that diversity in your representation. Because think about it, there's only, on the CW, there's Alex Danvers, and this is where the lines kind of get blurred too, because I wouldn't necessarily call Alex Danvers a butch, just because Kyler Lee, like, that's like her haircut, and she's like a straight woman for all that we know, as far as we know. She's married to a man, and so it's not like that's, I don't know, this is so hard to explain, but I guess I think it's important that we kind of have more like masculine presenting lesbians on television in general, and especially on the CW, because that's the thing, like, this representation that we have, when it's all femmes, then there are a bunch of, like, little butch lesbians in the world that are like, where are the girls that look like me? Where are the lesbians that look like me? Like, they have to attach themselves, to Cheryl Blossom or whatever, even though they can't fully relate to Cheryl Blossom, And, there's also one more example, Coop from All American, but technically, if we're going to get into the technicalities, she's a stud, which is a word that describes masculine presenting black women specifically, and that is their word, and we cannot use it like to describe us. Us as in white people. Hello, friends. So she technically is not a butch lesbian, but she obviously does count as a masculine presenting lesbian, and, obviously counts towards this representation that we're looking for. So I feel like that is an essential part of Kate Kane and why her story is very important, because that is not the kind of lesbian that we see on the CW a lot. There you go. And so my next thing is, preferably I would like a lesbian, but it seems like they're very open to casting anybody who is sapphic in any way. So, anyone on the LGBT spectrum, which I'm going to get into this in a minute, because I'm going to name off a couple people who have thrown their hats in for Batwoman, and what I think about them. But God, it would be so insane if they cast, like somebody, like a bi woman for Batwoman, and then like the response to her casting was positive. That would just feel like such a slap in the face to Ruby Rose, because she's the one who got ran off of Twitter because all of y'all, not necessarily all of you, but I can remember people on my Twitter timeline being like, she's a lesbian for the straight women, like she's not gay enough to be Batwoman. Like, oh my God. And, if a bi woman or a pan woman or whoever is cast and they get, positively received, oh God, it's gonna be a nightmare for Miss Ruby Rose. I'll feel so bad. I'm sure that, hopefully she won't look and she won't care, but oh my God, what a slap in the face, honestly. And another thing is preferably Jewish, but I am not sure how likely this last one is. It's just because I think that is the last thing on the CW exec's mind. It clearly was when they were casting Ruby Rose, because she has like Catholic tattoos all over her body. So that was kind of like the very last thing on their mind, and I think it will be again. As much as I've been tweeting about it, as much as I want to fight for a Jewish actress to play this character, I am not sure that it's going to happen, which does suck, obviously, because this is something that's really important and really, really important to the Jewish community, and CW does not have a good record, like a good track record at all with Jewish characters anyway, especially in the Arrowverse. So yeah, it's definitely kind of feels like the biggest long shot of them all, but hopefully maybe something will happen. So now I kind of want to go through 3 actresses who have thrown their names into the hat, and and they have expressed interest in wanting to play Batwoman. And the first one is this actress, Ashley Platts. She's not even verified on Twitter. And she annoys the shit out of me because during the original casting of Batwoman, once they announced that Ruby Rose was going to be Batwoman, this actress's audition tape was leaked. Like, it was posted online somewhere, like someone found it, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is Kate Kane, like, this is our Kate Kane, whatever. And so when Ruby was cast, people were like, give me Ashley Platts as Batwoman. It was this whole entire campaign to hate on Ruby. And this is the thing that bothered me so much, is that while they were simultaneously telling the world that they thought Ruby Rose wasn't gay enough to play Batwoman, Ashley Platts is out here. She's not even gay. She's pan. And it's like, dude, come on. It was ridiculous. And now she's like posting hashtags on Twitter and stuff. Like, she's really like begging for this. And she is Jewish, so that is one thing that she has going in her favor. But honestly, I mean, I've seen that tape. I didn't think it was that good. I think it's just because people thought she was hot. And the thing is, like, she has long hair, and she just, I just can't see her as Kate Kane. I just can't. I can't. And I don't want her to get the role, because it would just feel like like the internet trolls won, you know, if she got it. So I don't want her to get this role, but that's just me. Ashley Platts, if you're listening, it's not necessarily you, but it's also kind of you. So the next actress is this actress that I'd really never heard of because I don't watch The Magicians, but she apparently was on The Magicians, named Jade Taylor. She threw her name in, and I wish she hadn't. She is bisexual, and one of my, someone that I follow on Twitter asked, because she had tweeted, oh my god, you know, Batwoman would be such a dream job, and I'm so good at working long hours, you know, whatever. She was just pandering. It was like the people getting online to like beg for this job are insane. Oh my god. Anyway, so she tweeted that out, and so one of my mutuals had responded and said, hey, you know, are you a lesbian? Like, do you think that, you know, I think it's really important to have a lesbian play this role, you know, kind of just that. And it wasn't rude or anything. She was just asking, you know, if you're a lesbian, and because, you know, I think that a lesbian should have this role. And she said, and I think this tweet is still up, but I'm going to read it to you. She said, quote, I agree that it is important to represent the LGBTQA+, she forgot the I, community as a whole, not just a lesbian. One letter that people rarely acknowledge is the B in those letters, end quote. Which, first of all, just plain isn't true. Like, I can tell you, listen, when I went to Pride the first time, 2 years ago, went to Pride in Chicago, walking around in Boys Town, because that's where the parade takes place. It's in Boys Town. Walking around, everywhere you look, all kinds of flags, you know, vendors selling the gigantic flags, you know. Guess whose flag was literally never there? Ours, the lesbian flag, the L in the LGBT. And it just is ridiculous. And thinking about, you know, the flags that were always there, the B and the G and the T, but never the L. Never. Not even in the Target, not even on the street. You know, nobody was selling the L, the flag, the whole flag for the L in the LGBT. Like, oh my god. Like, so that's just not true. If anything, especially on television, bisexual characters are so much more abundant than lesbian characters. You can even go back to I've done 2 videos about the importance of LGBT representation on television and the evolution of LGBT representation on television. And you can see that there are way more bisexual characters on television than there are lesbian, because they, you know, it gives them options. They can make them, you know, they can put them with, you know, if it's a bisexual woman, they can put them with a woman when they want, and then they'll end up with a man, you know, that kind of thing, you know. Like, that's just what happens. And this whole tweet just felt kind of gross to me. It felt really, like, aggressive towards lesbians. It felt almost lesbophobic, and I don't want her to touch Kate Kane with a 10-foot pole, okay? I don't want that. I really don't. And so yeah, hopefully she doesn't, because I don't want that. The next contender, and one that I'm actually rooting for a lot, even though she doesn't meet like half the categories that I have myself stated that I want met, just because I think she's a wonderful actress and I think she has a good shot. So I'm trying to kind of like familiarize myself and kind of get myself used to this actress potentially being Batwoman, because I think she has a great shot if she wants it. So her name is Wallis Day. I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's Wallis. Wallis Day. She's my personal fave, and I just think she has such a good shot because of her connections to Warner Brothers and DC. And while The Magicians was on Sci-Fi, as was Krypton, which Wallis Day was in, Wallis Day, because she was on Krypton, has such a strong connection to the DC universe, and you know how they love to keep it in the family when it comes to roles like this. Like, they love to keep it in the family. So I just think she has a really, really, really solid shot because of her role on Krypton. She technically was playing Kara's grandmother, but obviously the show was canceled and it hasn't, nobody has picked it up, or, it's not been saved. I think it's, done for. But yeah, so I think she has a really good shot because of that. She is bisexual, but she's very supportive and wonderful. And the tweet that she most recently tweeted was, quote, "I am so humbled and truly flattered that you think of my work so fondly enough to trust me with a role so precious to so many of you. Thank you so, so much." End quote. And it's just so nice. Like, I don't know. I feel like she is just a really good shot at someone really good. And the thing is too, she looks just like Rachel Skarsten. Like, she looks so much like Rachel Skarsten, and it is insane. Like, and I think that if they did end up casting her, it would kind of work better in the end for everyone about everything, and because the thing is too, she's did a lot of like stunt work with Krypton, and she posts kind of, she does like boxing or whatever, like, I don't know, she just like is very physical, so that kind of fits the role where, she would need to be physical and would need to be able to do the stunts and stuff. So I'm really intrigued to see what happens, with this and how this could possibly go. And the thing is too, she has the butchy haircut. She has the short hair. Right now it's dark. It used to be like bleach platinum blonde. But now it's dark, and she just looks like Kate Kane. You're like, yeah, I believe that is Kate Kane. But anyway, so that is kind of the little roundup of like people who have thrown their hats into the ring, people who I don't want to touch Batwoman with a 10-foot pole. Let me know who your picks for Batwoman are, what your criteria is. Do you have preferences? How would you feel about a bisexual woman playing Kate Kane? I don't know. I don't think I'd have such a huge problem with it, because I think, especially if it is Wallace, she is so very, supportive and wonderful about the community, and she's been an out and proud member for a long time. So I think that she, could work. Obviously much better than that Jade Taylor person who very clearly expressed some anger and hostility towards lesbians. So I don't really want her playing the most iconic lesbian superhero of all time. So hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. I just kind of want this casting to be over and done with. Like, I need to know, like, right now, who is Kate Kane, like, because it's causing me so much stress, but that's okay. So some other stuff that I wanted to talk about in terms of Batwoman season 2 is that since the season was ended early, obviously, it was ended, 3 or 4 episodes early, they did not get to kind of, I guess, defeat or reveal the big bad of the season. Because they mentioned, obviously, Sophia a lot. Like, a lot. But we never saw her, all this stuff. And I feel like because of what Alice, like, the way that it kind of worked out, because of what Alice did, she was the big bad of season 1 because of how her story kind of ended. And then going into season 2, I would like to see the Sophia story stretched out over the whole thing. I don't know what the original plan was. Obviously, we all have no idea what the original plan was. But the thing is that, like, going from, like, I think that if they had tried to wrap up the Sophia storyline in the last, 4 episodes that they had, it wouldn't have been as satisfying, just because it was like, yes, it was 4 episodes and that would have been a lot, but I feel like they can really, like, stretch this out, because this character, I looked it up, has such a huge comic history that I feel like it could totally work super well, and it would be really cool, to have it basically stretch over the entire season of season 2. Maybe not, maybe not the whole entire thing, but kind of maybe even like she becomes like a mid-season villain. I don't know. I'd just like to see them spend more time with this villain because, I mean, obviously, like I said, I don't know what the original plans are. Maybe they were going to spend a lot more time with this villain than we originally thought. Who knows? But I am so intrigued, to see what is in store because... So the comic that I was kind of talking about, the like storyline that I was talking about in the comics that is very, very, very close to season 1 of Batwoman. Like it has so many similarities. So I think that this is kind of like the version of Kate that they based their whole entire thing off of. It's all starts kind of in Batwoman Volume 3, number 7. And it's... So originally Beth was kind of like saved from Alice, but then her Alice persona, this is where the show obviously very much differs. She reemerges in this like Many Arms of Death storyline. So it follows Kate as she comes out as a lesbian while obtaining her military education at West Point, which is obviously something that happened in the show. And she lost her lover, who obviously wanted to keep her lesbianism a secret, which was Sophie. But not in the comics. I guess it was just kind of like an unimportant, unnamed character. I don't know. It doesn't really say. But so she winds up, Kate does. She winds up, washed up on this island, and she meets Sophia Sohail, who saves Kate's life by placing a small plate of gold into Kate's skull. The two become lovers to the distress of Sophia's former partner, Tahani. And so basically she's kind of like, she's saved by Sophia, and she's like, so Kate ends up leaving this island that she had washed up on, breaks up with Sophia, whatever. So apparently years later, Batman asks Batwoman to help break up the Many Arms of Death, which is a terrorist organization. And in doing so, Kate discovers that Sophia Sohail is one of the leaders of this Many Arms of Death. And so she kind of like finds out that Alice becomes the leader of the Many Arms of Death somehow and plans to destroy Gotham City. She wants to unleash thousands of deadly deceased carrying bats around Gotham City. And she manages to save Gotham City with Julia Pennyworth's help. And they get Alice and they take her to Arkham Asylum. And so then basically we find out that the Alice like personality was brought out of Beth by some kind of drugs that Sophia and the other people were like giving to her. And so it's basically the like psychology of Alice was like changed and meant to be like something magical, like instead of induced by trauma, which is obviously the Alice that we know in the show was like the version that was induced by trauma. And apparently it says she receives outpatient therapy from a woman with a top hat, but it is Zatanna. So I don't know. I would like to kind of see that sort of thing. I obviously think that we'll be seeing the Many Arms of Death as a big bad in the future. I'm really excited about it. I think it'll be really cool. But I am concerned about my Alice redemption. I would like to see my Alice redemption. And a lot of people too have been speculating about the like change of actress for Kate Kane. They were like, well, what if there was this like little storyline where they basically said that Alice had to give Kate a new face. And I'm like, oh my god, like that'd be insane. So I don't know, let me know what you think. Will they just straight up like leave, just kind of like throw the new actress in and not mention a word? Or will they have Alice have this little mini storyline where she saves Kate's life by changing her face? I don't know. I'm intrigued. But the thing is too that like I don't really know how that storyline could work necessarily, especially with Commander Kane and all that stuff. I don't know. I think personally I just think that they're gonna throw this new actress in and pretend like nothing happened. But yeah, so anyway, but what I'm looking forward to for season 2 of Batwoman is more Penny Moore, more Bat Sophie. Hopefully the next actress that they cast, will have good chemistry with Megan Tandy and Christina who plays Julia. I would also like to see more Gotham villains. I would love, listen, I've said this before, but I would love to see and I don't think Warner Brothers would let them do this, unfortunately, but I'd still love to see it. I would love if we could have the Gotham City Sirens show up on Batwoman and have Lily Reinhart as Harley Quinn, Madeleine Petsch as Poison Ivy, and Camila Mendez as Selena Kyle. I would love that so much. And I think that it totally could happen, because the CW loves to borrow other actors from their other shows to guest star on their other shows. Same thing happened kind of like with Yale Grobglass, you know what I'm talking about, with Yale when she was cast as Psy for Supergirl. And also, the same thing also kind of happened with Britt Morgan, who was playing Leslie Willis on Supergirl and then ended up being on Riverdale. I don't know. I think that would be so cool. And I don't know. I would hope that Warner Brothers is past the point of, limiting what their Arrowverse can do, since it's obviously more successful than their movies at this point. So hopefully they're kind of past that, but I definitely would love to see that. I think it'd be so fun. I think it would be a really cool episode, especially because I think if anyone could do it from the CW, could play Harley, I think it's Lily Reinhart. Like, she is such a talented actress. If you've seen Hustlers, then you know that she is such a talented actress. She's so incredible. She's so amazing. Yeah, so anyway, I would love to see, more Gotham villains, things like that, like Zatanna, like, all of those people. So also I'm curious, obviously, as to see what the Superman and Lois / Batwoman crossover is going to be. I don't know. This is another speculation point, is what if they move Supergirl to start in the fall instead of Batwoman, because they're having issues with this whole casting thing. Like, that's the question. Are they going to be able to start filming Batwoman when they want to in the fall? In September is when they want to start for that January premiere. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I think that they're going to try as hard as they can to be good to go. But I don't know. We'll see. David Rappaport better get on it, my guy. Yeah, so it'll be really interesting, though, to see exactly what happens with all of these shows, because we might see Supergirl take the place of Batwoman. Who knows? So yeah, that's definitely, I don't know, it's definitely interesting. So we'll see. But I think the reason that they had originally done it that way anyway is that so they wouldn't have Superman and Supergirl airing at the same time. They probably felt that it was a bit too repetitive, so they're like, you know what, we'll save Supergirl for this, iffy kind of summer section, because I don't know, for me, that makes me feel like they have faith in Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl to be draws for that very, very strange time slot if it goes airing into the summer, because that's most of the time a death sentence for many shows. Shows stop airing scripted stuff in the networks stop airing scripted stuff in the summer, because it is really hard to get people to sit down and watch television in the summer, because people are out doing stuff. But obviously it might be different. Who knows? Maybe we'll never go out and do stuff again. It'll be interesting. Also, another thing that I'd like to see is Luke as Batwing. I don't think it's going to be happening in season 2, but I definitely hope in the future of the show we can see that. Anyway, now let's move on to Supergirl. That was a really long conversation about Batwoman, but obviously talking about Ruby Rose and her recast is something that, we need to do. Because, it's something that's going to be a big question for a really long time. So, for Supergirl, for season 6, I think a lot needs to change. A lot of stuff needs to change for Supergirl season 6. I think that, they have made so many missteps. And season 5 really was kind of like a struggle season. Like it really was a struggle season. And I mean, thinking about it too, when Arrow started to really struggle kind of around season 4 and season 5, they eventually replaced the showrunners. They brought in Beth Schwartz. And I mean, obviously, I think Mark Guggenheim wanted to step down a little bit because now he's on Legends, but I also think that he kind of knew that his time on Arrow was running out and that he was kind of running out of ideas. So they moved Beth Schwartz up to executive producer, showrunner, all of that. And it definitely, it helped. It helped Arrow a whole lot because seasons 7 and 8 of Arrow were really good. Like, they really were. They were really good. They followed one of my personal favorite comic stories on Arrow, which is the Oliver going to prison story. It was originally from the Green Arrow Rebirth series, which is one of my favorite comic series, like I just said. But Otto Schmidt did a lot of the art for that. He does a lot of Supercorp art too, which is really cool. So hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I would, if they can't get their, because I don't know. I don't see them switching showrunners right now. I don't see them changing things before season 6 in terms of, showrunners and stuff. Who knows what they're doing internally on the show to like fix it, if they are. If they're not, who knows? But I don't really see them. I think that this season 6 will kind of be their last chance. Because when you hit series low after series low after series low, even for a network that does not care about streaming, that does not care about ratings, I think it's definitely an issue. It's definitely an issue. So the running theme for my reviews this season has been more Nia and more Danson and more Kelly. That's what I've wanted. And in the last couple of episodes, we kind of got it. Obviously we could still use a lot more Alex and a lot more Kelly, but I feel like they utilized Nia in such a good way during the last, couple episodes. It just goes to show, and I mentioned this in my last review, but it goes to show that, she offers so much comedic relief and she brings a lightness to the show that I think is so missing when she's not there. So I'm really interested to see what will happen with them. I think it's really important, obviously. And, we wanted to kind of bring the petition back too, so I'll link that down below if you haven't signed the petition yet to kind of give better screen time to these LGBT characters and to follow through on, kind of what they promised to do. Hopefully we'll eventually get this thing mailed to the CW, to Jessica Queller, to Robert Rovner, to Greg Berlanti, to anyone that'll listen. Hopefully one day it will make its way there. But if you haven't signed it yet, please go do so. Tell your friends to sign it, whatever. But yeah. The next thing that I would like to see is Lena being a member of the Tower. David Harewood said during his Q&A that Lena will now be making the tech for the Super Friends, which is really interesting. Which I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to see, what Lena will do now that she's a part of the Tower and a part of the Super Friends. Because I think this is something that's really important because, like I said before, the ratings show it, the IMDb ratings, the IMDb reviews show it, the fan engagement online shows that when Kara and Lena are together and they're, friends and whatever, ratings go up. The episodes are more well received, and that's not just with us, it's also with the general public because, these episodes have more streams, they have more, they're just more popular. So obviously Kara and Lena being friends is a huge, huge strength, and I'm really excited. So I hope that we can see her kind of become a fully integrated member of the Super Friends for season 6. there's another thing that I think we need to do is I think William needs to go. And this is just me. This is not just me. This is so many reviewers saying that William needs to go because honestly, he is such a stupid character. He's literally ridiculous. He does nothing. He has no consequence. Because if you think about it, during season 5, if you took him out of the show, nothing would change. And the thing is too, that anything that would change happened before Crisis, so all of that shit was erased anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So now if throughout this time like he was taken out, they maybe wouldn't have found Eve right away, but then they still would have had Kelly to find Eve, and they could have had Nia and Kelly work together to find Eve and to research Lex and all of this stuff. Like, you could just easily replace him with a character that needs more screen time, with a character that doesn't exactly have, a storyline of their own a lot of the time. So he needs to go. And the thing is too that there's just, the Supergirl writers don't know how to handle how many characters they have. And that has been an issue that has been present all season long. And it just makes me so mad, because thinking about how Nia was absent from so many episodes. Same thing with Kelly. Nia and Kelly were absent from a lot of episodes when you had characters like Gemma, Lex, Andrea, William, all of these other characters that they just shoved in, like they're so important, now for this season. And it's like, what? Why do these characters have so much screen time when the characters like the hero, especially Nia, a hero fighting with Supergirl, why doesn't she have, a lot of story time and screen time and storylines? It's ridiculous, honestly. It truly is ridiculous. And they don't know how to handle all of these characters. They just don't. There's too many series regulars for this show. It is absolutely ridiculous. They don't know how to handle it. And I mean, honestly, in the last episode of the season, in episode 19, I saw a bit of hope in how they handled all these characters. I mean, in that last episode, they truly utilized pretty much every character to its full extent. Maybe not Jean, because obviously David Harewood was busy directing, but there's just a lot that they they kind of paired them up. And I talked about this in my review, but it works when you pair up characters and you send them off to go do stuff. It works. That's how you handle having so many characters. That's how Legends of Tomorrow handles having so many characters. Because honestly, at this point, that's what Supergirl needs to do, because it's becoming more of an ensemble show than a Supergirl show, So, and this is the same thing that happened with Arrow as well. It started out obviously being Arrow, the Green Arrow. Then you had Diggle, and then you had Felicity, and then that was it. And people were like, oh my God, OTA, And then it became about Team Arrow, and then there's Dinah Drake, and then there's Mr. Terrific, and then there's, Mad Dog or Wild Dog, whatever his name was, the guy with the hockey mask. And you just kind of had this huge group, and it became an ensemble show, and you just need to know how to treat an ensemble show, when you have all of these characters. But I think we could get rid of a few. I think we could. I think we could stand to lose a few. I mean, let's just take William out and replace him with Magan. That's what I want. That's what I need. Yeah. And so there was a TV Line article. This is related. There was a TV Line article that came out about Kara and William. Melissa, they had a quote from Melissa that said something like, oh my God, it's been so nice to see her have romantic possibilities, because she didn't have any in season 4. And the thing is, in this quote, she did not mention William one time. So this whole entire article felt like clickbait. And honestly, not to sound like a tinfoil hat loser, but it felt like a way to have a direct gauge of Supergirl's audience reaction to this relationship. Put out this article, see what people say about it. And if it doesn't go well, then we'll nix it. And I don't know. Like, for me, people say that I'm so optimistic, and I truly am. I am optimistic and then disappointed. So I feel like that, I don't know. Because the thing is that quote from Melissa was so vague that was like intentionally, like put in there to be vague and to be, just vague, And it just obviously, like, she didn't even say his name in the quote. She didn't say William. She didn't say, oh, it's been nice to see William and Kara. Like, and she described the relationship as like a slow burn or whatever, but she did the same thing with Lena. So who knows what that quote was about? That's the question, is like, what was the question? And the fact that she said possibilities makes me think that she might see Lena, because who else would be a possibility? Like, that's the question. Like, who else would be a possibility for Kara at this point? William, according to the show, and Lena, according to all of us. And according to the show, because they bait us all the time, but whatever. So with this article came a lot of backlash. And there was this producer named Jay Farber. I think I'm saying that right. Jay Farber. And he is a producer. He's not an exec or anything. He's definitely not, I don't think he's a showrunner. It's just Jessica and Robert who are the showrunners. He started blocking fans, or at least one fan. I think that's pretty much all I saw, but still, like, that's extremely unprofessional, it's just like, and the thing is that the tweet that apparently warranted blocking wasn't even mean. Like, it was just saying, like, please tell me that you care about fans and you care about our opinions and you care about what we think, and that you're going to make some changes for season 6, and it warranted a block on Twitter, which is insane, because it's like, dude, you can't just block out constructive criticism given to you. Like, that's how the show has gotten to this point, because you won't listen to the fans. And the thing is that, like, listen, if they hadn't treated Supercorp like the heart of the show, given us all of these Clois parallels, given us all of these romantic, like, especially this season, you can go back to all of my episodes. You know what? Maybe I'll just make a supercut of every single time I say that this is a parallel between Kara and Lena and Brainy and Nia. You cannot just parallel those two without people taking it and running with it, because one is romantic and the other isn't. When you have direct parallels between them, like, that's just homophobic at this point. It genuinely is. And, I hate when people are like, well, you guys are baiting yourselves. Like, no, we're not. When you have two characters like Brainy and Nia who are in a relationship and you see them do something, and then you have two characters like Kara and Lena and they do the exact same thing, like, we're not making that up. And because how, like, those correlations, it's romantic, and it will always be romantic because Brainy and Nia are a romantic couple. Like, it's just insane. It is insane to me, like, how people could possibly say that we're baiting ourselves, because we're not. And it's just insane. And the thing is, the bottom line of this whole thing is that Supergirl is going to be known for Supercorp. No matter what. Supergirl is going to be known for Supercorp. It just depends on whether they'll be known for never making it happen and baiting their fans with this relationship, or making it happen and being one of the most successful and popular relationships between two women on television. Because this would technically, like, if they made it happen, it would be a slow burn from season 2 until, the end of this show. And another thing that, I pointed it out on Twitter, and I think I've mentioned this here before, but, like, look at Olicity. Look at Oliver and Felicity. Arrow and the CW ignored over 40 years of comic book canon of Oliver and Laurel to pair up Oliver and Felicity. Like, they ignored over 40 years of Green Arrow and Black Canary to pair up Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoke. So why can't, because of fan service, because of, because that was the popular thing, and because those two actors had such insane chemistry. And the thing is, Melissa and Katie have insane chemistry. They cannot be matched on this show. And it's just madness that it is not canon, yet Olicity is. Like, they get married, they're endgame, they're together in the afterlife, all of that stuff. Like, it's insane. Like, in the end of it all, they had Felicity literally basically kill herself to go be with Oliver in the afterlife. Like, leave her daughter alone. Like, oh my God, it's insane. I don't know. All I know is that, bottom line, Supergirl is going to be known for Supercorp. Same way that Supernatural is known for that one ship of those two guys. Destiel, you know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. I just hope that Supergirl is the one that makes it happen, because the thing is, like, people have said, oh, well, it would make their sales go down, like Olicity made their sales go up. Like, no. Have you seen what happens to shows that have LGBT representation? People flock to them. Look I'm watching Motherland Fort Salem. I don't even like that show that much, but but I'm still watching it because it's got gays in it. And thinking about, literally, if they made Supercorp canon, the second that it dropped on Netflix, it would be number one. It would be number one on Netflix the second that it dropped, if they made Supercorp canon. Because people would be so interested. People who dropped the show years ago would catch up. They would stream the whole thing just to catch up on this love story that has been unfolding. I don't know. I just cannot see why we can't have Supercorp. I just can't see it. And I hope one day we either, one, get answers why we can't have Supercorp, or we get Supercorp. So, and like I said before, this summer, they've got some more time before they start filming. They're supposed to start filming in September. Let's be loud. Let's be loud all summer. Let's make trends. Let's trend #Supercorp every Sunday. Let's #Supercorp Sunday. Like, let's do that. Let's do fan art weeks. Let's do fan fiction weeks. Let's do, gift set weeks and all kinds of stuff. Like, let's make threads and shout at the top of our lungs for as long as we can about Supercorp, because I think it's the time to fight for what we want. And I think the time is now. So in terms of the rest of season 6, in terms of storyline and stuff, I have no idea what's coming. It is so hard with Supergirl to try to even tell what could be possibly happening, because I just gave a Batwoman little thing where I looked into the comics and saw some similarities, and I was like, oh my God, with Supergirl, they change everything. They don't care. They have no respect for the comics or anything, because Game Day wasn't even part of Leviathan in the comics. So, who knows where this next season's gonna go? Who knows what's gonna happen? But in terms of Leviathan, in some of the newer comics that came out actually last year, during an event called Event Leviathan, it was revealed that they took over Project Cadmus. And this was something that was really important. And I just wonder if it is truly Lillian Luthor behind all of this. Playing Lex, playing Leviathan, being the leader of Leviathan, playing Lex, that would be so cool. And being the leader of Cadmus as well. And it would be cool if the original plan was to take down Lex in the finale, and then the cliffhanger would be that now they have to take down Cadmus or Lillian Luthor or whatever. It would be cool to bring Cadmus back, because like I said before, they totally fumbled it in season 2. And I just would love to see the next season explore some Supergirl stories. But one story that I would love to see, I feel like they kind of missed their opportunity to do it, was the Red Lantern storyline. I feel like this past season, after Crisis, was the perfect time to do this Red Lantern storyline. Because Kara, because in the comic books, the reason that Kara becomes a Red Lantern in the first place, which is a person so driven by anger that they can wear the ring, and the ring will give them powers to amplify their anger, is because she's so angry about, obviously, the destruction of her planet and everything she's been through. And I feel like after Crisis would have been the perfect time for that to happen. It would have been so perfect, and I just feel like they missed their opportunity. But I don't know, I think it'd be really interesting, and it would be cool because then it would bring, obviously, Supergirl back to the forefront of her own show, because we all saw that IGN article that was like, forget the Girl of Steel, watch Supergirl for Lex Luthor. Like, oh my god, shut up. And then they deleted the tweet, so I said this on Twitter too, but I mean, I love how we simultaneously are fighting the show but also fighting for the show at the same time. Like, we're like, okay, time to shit all over Supergirl, but then if someone else does it, we're like, what did you say about Supergirl? Supergirl's the best show I've ever seen. I don't know what you're talking about, you know? It's just so funny. But I don't know. I hope that they kind of saw the response to this season and they kind of back off of the dark vibes, because we have Batwoman. We don't need darkness on Supergirl, especially with the kind of character that she is. You know, it's kind of like how I feel about the Man of Steel movie and Henry Cavill's Superman. Like, we didn't need a dark Superman. We didn't. That's not the kind of character that he is, you know? Like, he is America's sweetheart. He is sunshine and rainbows. And the same thing with Kara. You know, she's just optimistic. She's all about hope. She's all about all of that. And I just hope they kind of go back to their roots. Because Kara and Lena are done being angsty, so there's no reason for it to be as dark as it was. So let's just get back to kind of the cheese of it all, like the silliness that we all fell in love with Supergirl for in the first place, the campiness, the cheese ball, you know, dialogue and stuff. I would like to laugh with the show, not at the show. So I think that is all that I got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I just kind of wanted to talk through my feelings about Supergirl and Batwoman and where we go from here, what needs to happen on these shows. Obviously on Supergirl, a lot needs to change. More focus on the women of the show. Obviously, focusing on their series regulars instead of their guest stars, because this whole season, Jon Cryer was a guest star. Like, he wasn't a series regular or in anything like that. He was a guest star. For all those episodes and all that screen time, he was a guest star. So yeah, I mean, obviously, it goes without saying, season 6 needs to start off with Brainy being saved. I cannot have him die on me. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about all of this kind of speculation and stuff in the comments, or tweet me at Televised Pod. Let me know. Let me know what other kinds of episodes you want to see me do in terms of Batwoman and Supergirl. I would love to talk about all kinds of stuff, so just let me know what you want to see. Maybe another ratings episode, maybe my top 5 favorite episodes of season 5 and then season 1 of Batwoman. I could do that too. Yeah, just let me know. So you can subscribe, rate, like, share, whatever. And I will see you guys probably next week. Bye.